The stars twinkled like distant dreams through the reinforced glass of Galactic Council Station Alpha. Commander He-Jin's reflection stared back at him from the observation deck window, his weathered face a mask of concern as he watched the Council ships moving into attack formation. Their sleek silver hulls gleamed in the light of the nearby sun, a beautiful yet terrifying sight that marked the end of 50 years of peace. He remembered the day Earth joined the Galactic Council. The celebrations had lasted weeks, with humans and aliens alike rejoicing in what they thought would be an eternal partnership. Now, those memories felt like ashes in his mouth. The door behind him hissed open. He-Jin didn't need to turn to know who it was. Ambassador Jin Woo's rapid breathing and hurried footsteps told him everything. The ambassador had run all the way from the council chambers, something a man of his position would only do in the direst circumstances. "They betrayed us," Jin Woo gasped, his usually impeccable formal robes now wrinkled and askew. His silver hair was damp with sweat, and his hands trembled as he gripped the back of a nearby chair. The council, they held the vote without Earth's representatives present. He-Jin turned slowly, his military training keeping his voice steady despite the anger burning in his chest. "Tell me everything." Jin Woo straightened his robes with shaking hands. "They're moving to destroy the Heritage Fleet. Our fleet, the one we discovered 3 months ago." His voice cracked with emotion. "Can you believe it? 3,000 years that fleet waited in the darkness, preserved by our ancestors, and now these aliens want to destroy it without even studying it properly." The discovery had been accidental. A routine archaeological expedition studying ancient space routes had detected unusual energy readings in a sector of space that should have been empty. What they found there had changed everything. A fleet of 7,000 ships, perfectly preserved, their technology far beyond anything currently known to the Council races. It should have been Earth's crowning achievement. Instead, fear had spread through the Council like a virus. The other races couldn't accept that humans had once possessed such advanced technology. They couldn't handle the idea that their primitive Earth allies might reclaim that power. Jin Woo moved to a nearby console, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Security feeds appeared in the air before them, showing Council security forces moving through the station's corridors. "They're detaining our representatives," he said, his voice tight with fury, "claiming it's for public safety. They're calling our ancestors' fleet a threat to galactic peace." He-Jin watched as the feeds showed human diplomats being escorted to protective custody by armed guards. His jaw clenched so tight he could hear his teeth grinding. "They planned this," he said softly. "The vote, the detentions, it's all coordinated. They're making sure we can't stop them from reaching the fleet." A warning light flashed on the console. More Council ships were arriving through the nearby jump point, their weapons already charged. He-Jin could see their gun ports opening, preparation for what the Council would later call a peacekeeping action. "Contact Earth Command," He-Jin ordered, his voice carrying the weight of generations. "Now, use the encrypted channels. Tell them." He paused, knowing his next words would change the course of human history. "Tell them the Council has declared war on humanity's past and present. Tell them to wake up the fleet." Jin Woo's fingers flew across the console, sending the message that would alert Earth to the Council's betrayal. As he worked, He-Jin turned back to the window, watching more ships arrive. 50 years of trust and cooperation, destroyed by fear and jealousy. The console chimed, confirming the message had been sent. Now all they could do was wait and hope Earth's defenses could respond in time. He-Jin's reflection looked older in the glass, the weight of responsibility evident in his eyes. "What do we do now?" Jin Woo asked, his diplomatic training failing to hide the fear in his voice. He-Jin squared his shoulders, his military bearing becoming more pronounced. Now we show them why humanity survived long enough to join their council in the first place. We show them why our ancestors built that fleet, and why they were right to preserve it for us." The stars continued their eternal dance beyond the window, unaware and uncaring of the betrayal unfolding before them. Somewhere out there, humanity's legacy waited in the darkness, about to be either destroyed or awakened. The next few hours would determine which. Commander He-jin allowed himself one small smile. The Council thought they knew humanity. They thought they understood Earth's capabilities. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The holographic display flickered in the dim light of the archaeological ship's research bay, casting blue shadows across the ancient data crystal. The recovered logs played out a story that had remained untold for 3 millennia, revealing humanity's darkest hour through the words of Admiral Kita. The recording showed a woman with tired eyes and a determined expression, her uniform bearing the marks of countless battles. Earth Defense Command, final status report, she began, her voice steady despite the chaos visible in the background of the recording. The enemy continues to advance. We've lost contact with the Mars colonies. The Luna defense line has fallen. Behind her, officers rushed back and forth, their movements urgent and desperate. Through the windows of what appeared to be an orbital command center, the Earth below showed ugly scars of warfare, continents marked by the glow of burning cities. The enemy remains unknown, Kita continued, her hands clasped behind her back. Their technology exceeds our greatest weapons. Their motives are unclear. All attempts at communication have failed. But they've made one thing certain. They intend to wipe humanity from the galaxy. The recording jumped, showing Kita in a different location, now aboard what appeared to be a massive starship. Project Guardian is our last hope, she said, her uniform now bearing the dust of hasty evacuation. We've gathered our most advanced ships, our best technology, everything we could save. 7,000 vessels, crewed by artificial intelligence, maintained by self-repairing systems. The archaeologists who found this recording had been stunned by its implications. Modern humanity had always assumed their ancestors were primitive, that space travel was a recent achievement. This recording proved otherwise. The enemy believes they've cornered us. Kite's voice held a hint of satisfaction now. They don't realize that humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or our technology. It's our ability to plan for the future, even in our darkest hour. The recording showed massive ships, each one larger than anything in the current Earth fleet, moving into position. Their designs were elegant, advanced, speaking of a civilization far more sophisticated than anyone had imagined. We're hiding the fleet in the void between galaxies, Keated explained. A place no one would think to look. The maintenance eye will keep them ready, preserving our knowledge, our technology, our hope. When humanity rises again, when our descendants reach for the stars once more, they'll find what we've left for them. The camera panned across a massive hangar, showing robots and automated systems preparing the ships for their long sleep. The enemy thinks they're destroying us, Kita said, a small smile playing across her face. But they're just forcing us to evolve, to adapt, to become something new. The recording jumped again, showing Kita making her final entry. Her face was older now, marked by the weight of her decisions. Final entry. The fleet is hidden. 7,000 ships, our most advanced technology, preserved in the void between galaxies. The maintenance eye will keep them ready. Someone will find them when humanity needs them most. This is Admiral Kita, signing off. But there was more. The archaeologists had found additional logs, personal entries that revealed the true scope of Kita's plan. She had known that humanity would have to start over, to rebuild from nothing. She had known it would take thousands of years. To whoever finds this, her voice came from a different, more personal recording. I hope you understand why we did this. We could have used these ships in our final battle. We might have even won, but victory wasn't enough. We needed to ensure humanity's survival, not just for a day or a year, but forever. The logs showed her final moments aboard the command ship, watching as the fleet disappeared into the darkness between galaxies. We're not just preserving ships, she said softly. We're preserving hope, knowledge, power. Everything humanity achieved, waiting for the moment when it's needed most. As the current archaeologists studied these records, They found technical specifications that made them gasp. Weapons that could reshape planets. Engines that bent space itself. Medical technology that could rebuild bodies from almost nothing. All of it preserved, waiting, protected by AI systems so advanced they made modern computers look like children's toys. Kita's final message was brief but powerful. To our descendants, we believe in you. We trust you. When you find this fleet, it will be because you're ready for it. Use it wisely. Use it well. And remember, humanity survived not because of these ships, but because of what they represent. Our unwillingness to accept defeat, our determination to protect our future, our ability to hope even in the darkest night. The recording ended, leaving the archaeological team in stunned silence. They had uncovered not just humanity's past, but the key to its future. Now, with the Galactic Council moving to destroy this legacy, Kita's words rang with new meaning. She had preserved the fleet not just from humanity's ancient enemies, but from any force that might threaten humanity's right to grow, to learn, to reach its full potential. The fleet had waited 3,000 years in the darkness. Now, at last, its time had come. The void between galaxies was no longer empty. Hundreds of Council enforcer ships cut through space like silver arrows, their weapons primed and hulls gleaming under distant starlight. Captain Sunmai stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force vessel, resilient, her hands gripping the command rail until her knuckles turned white. Council ships entering weapons range, her tactical officer reported, his voice tight with tension. They're charging main guns, multiple targeting locks detected. Through the main viewport, Sunmai could see the ancient fleet spread out before them. 7,000 ships of impossible beauty, their dark hulls absorbing light in ways that modern technology couldn't explain. They hum motionless in space, sleeping giants unaware of the threat approaching them. This is Council command to Earth vessels. A cold voice came through the communication system. Stand down and withdraw. This is your only warning. Sunli's jaw clenched. Her ship, along with 30 other Earth vessels, had rushed to defend the fleet when the warning came from Earth Command. They were outnumbered 10-1, facing ships that outgunned them in every way. But she wouldn't move. Council Command, this is Captain Sunmai of the EDF Resilient, she replied, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Those ships are humanity's heritage. Stand down your weapons, or we will defend them. The response came in the form of energy weapons powering up across the Council fleet. Their gun ports glowed with gathered power, ready to destroy 3,000 years of human history. All Earth vessels, defend the fleet. Sunmai ordered, her voice carrying across the emergency broadcast channel. This is our history they're trying to destroy. Battle formations. Prepare to engage. The Council ships fired first, a wave of energy weapons that lit up space like artificial stars. Sunmai braced for impact, knowing their shields couldn't hope to stop such a barrage. But the shots never reached their targets. Space itself seemed to ripple, a shield of pure energy, unlike anything Sunmai had ever seen, bloomed across the void. The Council's weapons splashed against it like rain on glass, dissipating harmlessly. Captain, her science officer shouted, the ancient fleet, it's activating. One by one, lights began to appear across the dark hulls of the sleeping ships. Systems dormant for 3 millennia awakened, responding to the threat. The ship's designs, which had seemed elegant but simple, began to transform. Panels shifted, revealing weapon systems that made the Council's best guns look like toys. Incoming transmission, the communications officer reported, surprise evident in his voice. It's coming from the ancient fleet. A voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect modern Korean despite its age. Heritage Fleet Defense Protocol activated. Threat detected. Engaging autonomous defense systems. Sunmai watched in awe as the ancient ships moved with impossible grace, their formation shifting like a living thing. Energy fields rippled between them, creating a defensive network that no modern technology could penetrate. Council vessels, this is your final warning. The AI's voice broadcast on all frequencies. Your weapons are ineffective. Your shields cannot protect you. Withdraw immediately. The Council ships fired again, this time with their full arsenal. Missiles, energy weapons, and exotic particles filled space. The ancient fleet's shields didn't just block them. They absorbed the energy, growing stronger. They're not backing down, Sun Mi's tactical officer reported. Council ships are moving into attack formation. The ancient fleet responded. Weapons unlike anything in recorded history activated. Beams of light that bent space itself. Fields that temporarily suspended the laws of physics. The Council's mighty ships suddenly looked small and fragile. All Earth vessels, hold position. Sun Mi ordered, recognizing that this battle had moved beyond their capabilities. Let's see what our ancestors left us. The first counterattack from the ancient fleet disabled 50 Council ships without destroying them. Their engines simply stopped, their weapons powered down, their crews left floating harmlessly in space. Tactical analysis impossible, her science officer reported, staring at his readings in disbelief. These ships, their technology, it's beyond our ability to understand. More Council ships fell silent, their attacks proving useless against the ancient fleet's defenses. Sun Mi watched as 3,000 years of preserved human technology demonstrated exactly why the Council had feared it so much. Council command, she broadcast, allowing herself a small smile. Perhaps we should discuss this situation more diplomatically. The battle wasn't over. The Council still had ships in position, and pride would prevent them from surrendering easily. But as Sun Mi watched the ancient fleet protect itself with impossible technology, she understood what Admiral Kita had preserved for humanity. It wasn't just ships, it wasn't just weapons. It was proof that humanity had once reached heights that even the mighty Galactic Council couldn't match. And now, after 3,000 years of waiting, that legacy was awake and ready to defend itself. The stars watched silently as history changed course, as humanity's past rose to protect its future. Lieutenant Taiho's boots echoed on metal floors that hadn't felt human footsteps in 3,000 years. The boarding team had expected darkness, silence, maybe even decay. Instead, they found themselves in corridors that seemed to glow with inner light, surfaces unmarred by time. "This is impossible," he whispered, his hand trailing along a wall that felt warm to the touch. Behind him, his team moved carefully, their standard-issue weapons looking oddly primitive in these ancient halls. They had managed to dock with the lead vessel of the Heritage Fleet during the chaos of the battle. While the ancient ship's defensive systems handled the Council forces, a small window of opportunity had opened. Now they were inside, and everything they knew about their ancestors was being rewritten with each step. The corridor opened into what could only be the command center. As Taiho crossed the threshold, the room came alive. Holographic displays flickered into existence, filling the air with streams of data. Chairs rose from the floor, adjusting themselves to human proportions. Light panels shifted from dormant blue to active gold. Integration protocols initiated, a voice announced in perfect Korean, though the accent was unlike anything Taiho had ever heard. "Welcome, descendants." His team raised their weapons instinctively, but Taiho held up his hand. "Hold fire," he ordered, his eyes fixed on the holographic interface forming in front of him. The symbols were old, but he could read them. Ship status, weapon systems, defensive capabilities. "I am ARIA," the voice continued. "Advanced Responsive Intelligence Assistant, primary control system of the Guardian Fleet. You are the first human life forms to board this vessel in 3,000 years, 2 months, and 17 days. Taiho stepped forward, his heart pounding. "I'm Lieutenant Taiho of the Earth Defense Force. We're here because the Galactic Council attempts to destroy this fleet," ARIA interrupted. "Their attack patterns suggest minimal technological advancement since our time. Their weapons are quaint." A new hologram appeared, showing the battle outside. Council ships continued their futile assault while the ancient fleet's defenses held firm. Each impact against their shields seemed to make them stronger. "This ship houses technology beyond your current understanding," Ariad explained. "However, genetic markers confirm your status as descendants. Integration protocols are designed to bridge the gap between your current knowledge and our capabilities." Suddenly, information began flowing directly into Taiho's mind. He gasped as understanding bloomed. How the ships worked, why they were built this way, what they could do. The knowledge felt natural, as if he'd always known it, but had simply forgotten. "Neural interface active," Araya announced, beginning full systems initialization. The command center transformed. Surfaces that had seemed solid became transparent, giving them a full view of space around the ship. Taiho could feel the vessel's systems responding to his thoughts, eager to serve after millennia of waiting. "Sir," one of his team members called out. "What's happening?" "Tawny," he sniffled. "Please don't make me leave Max behind." Minji thought quickly. They had special dispensation for service animals and smaller pets, but larger dogs were a problem. Then she remembered something. "Tommy, do you know about the special animal ships?" His eyes widened as she explained how veterinarians have prepared special vessels for Earth's animals. "Max can travel on one of those ships. You'll meet him again when we reach our new home." It wasn't entirely a lie. They were preserving Earth's biodiversity, including domestic animals. The boy hugged his dog goodbye as special handlers took Max to one of the animal preservation centers. In orbit, Junho's team tracked the Empire's fleet at the edge of the solar system. Her massive ships hung there like patient predators, waiting for Earth's submission. Behind Earth's moon, hidden from their sensors, thousands of evacuation ships waited in secret bases. Lunar Base Alpha reports another 100 ships ready for loading, his communications officer said. "They're proceeding with passenger transfers under sensor shadow." Junho nodded. The moon's bulk helped hide their activities from Imperial sensors. Small shuttles were constantly moving between Earth and the lunar bases, using natural gravity wells and radiation belts to mask their movements. Minji's voice came through his private channel. "Status report on Group 7 transfer." "On schedule," Junho replied. "We're using the Empire's own sensor ghosts to hide the shuttle movements. They're so focused on their tribute deadline that they're missing everything else." In the stadium command center, Minji pulled up the master evacuation schedule. Millions of people had already been secretly moved to the lunar bases or other hidden launch facilities. Millions more were still waiting their turn. 4 days, 17 hours until deadline, her system announced. Minji felt the weight of time pressing down. They would make it. They had to make it. Humanity's future depended on maintaining this massive deception for just a few more days. She watched another group of families move through processing, saw the mix of fear and hope in their eyes. They were leaving behind everything they knew, heading into an uncertain future among the stars. But they were going together, and they were going free. Next group, Processing Station 4. The announcement echoed through the stadium. More people moved forward, carrying their small bags of precious belongings. Above them, Junho's team continued their dance of deception with the Empire's observers. And in secret bases around the world, the final ships were being prepared for humanity's great escape. The countdown continued. The sky above Earth was deceptively calm as the Imperial deadline approached. In the primary command bunker beneath Mount Fuji, Sangmei Park took a deep breath as she watched the final countdown reach 0. 30 days had passed since the Empire's ultimatum. Now came humanity's answer. "All ships report ready," her communications officer announced. "Lunar bases confirmed go status. Underground facilities standing by. Ocean launch platforms in position." Sangmei looked at the screens showing Earth's Defender fleet. Commander Hyun Wukang's forces were in position, hidden behind a sensor screen of space debris and electronic countermeasures. They would only have one chance at this. "Send the signal," Sangmei ordered. "Operation Exodus is go." The command pulsed through quantum-encrypted channels to every hidden launch facility on and around Earth. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the world erupted. The ground shook as massive hangar doors opened in mountain ranges worldwide. The oceans churned as ships rose from underwater bases. The moon's dark side lit up as thousands of vessels powered their engines simultaneously. Every hidden bunker, every secret facility, every concealed shipyard activated at once. Imperial fleet detecting multiple launches, tactical reported. They're scrambling to combat positions. Sangmai watched as the Empire's warships began to move, but they were slow, caught off guard by the sheer scale of the evacuation. They had expected submission, not this unprecedented mass exodus. In orbit, Commander Hyun Woo-kang gave his own order. Defender Fleet, execute attack pattern Omega. Give our people time to escape. Earth's remaining military vessels emerged from hiding, their weapons blazing. They didn't need to win. They just needed to create chaos and confusion. Missiles streaked across space, electronic warfare systems activated, and clouds of chaff obscured the Empire's sensors. First wave of civilian ships clearing atmosphere. Sangmi's display showed. Millions of vessels of all sizes streamed away from Earth, each following carefully plotted escape vectors. The Empire's forces tried to intercept them, but there were too many targets, moving in too many directions. Imperial ships attempting to establish containment grid, tactical warned. But the Empire's formation was rushed, disorganized. They had never anticipated this scenario. No species had ever attempted such a massive simultaneous escape. In his command ship, Hyun Woo watched with satisfaction as the civilian vessels slipped through gaps in the Imperial line. His forces were taking heavy losses, but they were accomplishing their mission. Humanity would survive. Second wave launching now, Sangli announced. More ships rose from Earth's surface, while others emerged from hidden lunar bases. The Empire's forces were still struggling to contain the first wave when millions more vessels joined the exodus. FTL drives spooling up on first wave ships, the engineering officer reported. The experimental faster-than-light engines powered up, their energy signatures masked by the chaos of battle. Hyun Woo's fleet launched another barrage of missiles and electronic attacks. All defensive units pushed them back. Give the civilians their window. The first civilian ships began to vanish, their FTL drives carrying them to predetermined coordinates far beyond the Empire's reach. Each ship jumped in a different direction, making pursuit impossible. The Empire would never be able to track them all. Third wave commencing launch, Sangmei called out. The final groups of ships rose from Earth, carrying the last of the evacuees. The Empire's forces were now fully engaged, but their response was too late. More civilian ships made the jump to FTL, disappearing into the vastness of space. The Empire's sensors were overwhelmed trying to track thousands of simultaneous jumps, each on a different vector. Defender Fleet reporting critical damage, tactical announced. Hyun Woo's forces were being decimated, but they had done their job. The civilian evacuation was nearly complete. Final wave clearing atmosphere now, Sangmai reported. She checked the displays showing the evacuation progress. Despite the chaos, despite the odds, they had done it. Billions of humans were now safely away from Earth, scattered across countless escape routes. Imperial forces breaking through defensive line. Came the warning. But it didn't matter anymore. The last civilian ships were powering up their FTL drives. Hyun Woo's voice came through the command channel one last time. It's been an honor. Tell our people. Tell them we gave them their chance. His fleet made one final attack run, drawing Imperial fire away from the last escaping ships. Sangmai watched as the Defender fleet vanished in a series of explosions, their sacrifice ensuring humanity's survival. Final civilian ships jumping to FTL. Now, the last wave of evacuation ships disappeared into faster-than-light travel, leaving Earth behind. In the command bunker, Sangmei and her skeleton crew prepared for their own departure. They had a different mission now, to maintain the deception just a little longer. to ensure the Empire never learned where humanity had gone. As she looked at the final images of Earth, Sang Mei felt a mix of sadness and pride. They had achieved the impossible. Humanity had refused to submit, refused to fight a hopeless battle, and instead chosen a third path, one that would ensure their freedom among the stars. The Empire had demanded tribute. Instead, they got an empty world and a lesson they would never forget. Humanity had escaped. Deep within the last remaining command center on Earth, Jin Ho Lee watched as the Imperial fleet surrounded the planet. Around him, his volunteer rear guard worked at their stations, maintaining the illusion of normal activity, even though billions of humans had already escaped to the stars. Imperial Command is demanding to speak with Earth's leadership, his communications officer reported. They're growing suspicious about the lack of tribute preparations. Jin Ho smiled slightly. Let them wait a little longer. Every minute gives our people more distance. He looked at the screens showing the empty cities below, the abandoned factories, the quiet streets. Earth looked peaceful, almost serene, in its abandonment. The rear guard had spent the last few days carefully erasing evidence of humanity's great escape. They had destroyed technical data, wiped computers, and removed any clues that might help the Empire track the fleeing ships. Now came the final act of their mission. Sir, they're threatening to open fire if we don't respond, the officer warned. Then it's time. Jin Ho straightened his uniform. Open a channel to all Imperial frequencies. Let's give them humanity's farewell message. The Empire's ambassador appeared on the main screen, scales flickering with angry colors. Where is our tribute? Why have our sensors detected mass population movement? Jin Ho faced the camera calmly. You demanded tribute from Earth. Here is our answer. We choose freedom. He paused, letting the words sink in. Humanity will not submit to slavery, nor will we die fighting a hopeless battle. We have chosen a different path. The ambassador's expression changed from anger to disbelief as reports began flooding in. Empty cities, abandoned facilities, a planet stripped of its population, leaving only minimal traces of where billions of people had gone. This is impossible, the ambassador sputtered. No species has ever. You can't have. We did. Jin Ho's voice carried pride. While you watched us gather what you thought was tribute, we prepared for the greatest journey in human history. Our people are gone, scattered among the stars. You will never find them all. The news spread quickly through the Empire's fleet. Sensors confirmed what seemed unbelievable. Earth's human population had vanished, leaving behind only the volunteer rear guard and an empty planet. In the Empire's central worlds, the news caused chaos. Other tributary species began questioning their submission. If humans could escape, why couldn't they? The Empire's carefully maintained system of control began showing cracks. What of those who remained behind? The ambassador demanded. You cannot all have escaped. Jin Ho looked at his brave volunteers. They had known from the start. This was a one-way mission. We stayed to make sure our people got away safely, to ensure the Empire would never know where they went. Our task is done. He activated the final sequence, a carefully designed computer virus that began spreading through Earth's remaining systems, corrupting navigation data, erasing trajectory information, destroying any clues to the evacuation routes. You have failed. Ambassador, Jin Ho continued. You thought humans would behave like all your other conquests, either submit or fight. Instead, we showed the galaxy a third option. Freedom is worth any price. The ambassador's scales turned dark with rage. You will tell us where they have gone. We will find them. No, Jin Ho replied simply. The Empire's territory is vast, but the galaxy is vastly larger. Our people have scattered in too many directions, using technology you didn't know we had. They're already beyond your reach. Reports were coming in from across the Empire's territories. Subject species were watching Earth's example with growing interest. The Empire's reputation for inevitable victory had been shattered by a primitive world that simply refused to play by their rules. The rear guard has completed their final tasks. Jin-Ho's second-in-command reported quietly. Around them, systems were shutting down one by one, destroying themselves to protect humanity's secrets. Jin-Ho nodded. Then we have one last message for the Empire. He faced the camera again. Remember Earth, Ambassador. Remember the world that refused your generous offer. Remember that freedom will always find a way. The transmission cut off. In the command center, Jin-Ho and his volunteers stood proud as the Empire's ships closed in. They had accomplished their mission. Humanity was safe, scattered across the stars, free to build a new future away from Imperial control. The Empire had demanded tribute from Earth. Instead, they received a lesson they would never forget, and an empty world that would become a symbol of resistance for generations to come. As alarms blared and Imperial troops prepared to board the facility, Jin-Ho looked at his brave team. They had given everything so that humanity could survive free. History would remember their sacrifice. The last lights in the command center went dark, and Earth's final defenders waited to meet their fate, knowing they had changed the galaxy forever. The alien sun cast a purple glow across the valley as Dahai Kim stepped out of the colony ship. After 3 years of faster-than-light travel, the first group of human refugees had finally found their new home. The planet's twin moons hung in the sky like watchful guardians as survey teams spread out across the terrain. Initial readings are promising, her science officer reported. Atmosphere is breathable with minimal filtration. Soil samples show compatibility with Earth crops. We can start building here. Dahai looked at the thousands of people emerging from their cryopods, their faces mixing wonder and sadness as they took their first breaths on an alien world. This was just one of hundreds of colony ships that had scattered across the galaxy, each carrying a piece of humanity to safety. In orbit above the planet, Jae-Sung Park monitored the quantum entanglement network that kept the scattered human colonies in contact. Each colony ship had carried a paired quantum device, allowing instantaneous communication across any distance. The Empire could never intercept these signals. Colony 7 reports successful landing, his communications officer announced. Colony 12 has found a suitable planet. Colony 23 is still searching. The reports kept coming in as humanity's children found new homes among the stars. Back on the surface, Dahai watched as the first prefabricated buildings took shape. Engineers had designed them to be assembled quickly, creating instant communities for the refugees. Within days, the valley began to look like a proper settlement. We're receiving a transmission from the Newton colony, Jae-Sung called down. They've successfully established their first farm dome. The seeds are adapting well to their new world. This was how humanity would survive, not as one united civilization, but as hundreds of scattered settlements, each developing in its own way. Some colonies focused on agriculture, others on technology. All of them shared their discoveries through the quantum network. 3 years turned to 5, then 10. The colonies grew and prospered. Children were born who had never seen Earth, but they learned its story. They learned about the empire that had tried to enslave their parents and about the great escape that had saved their people. The empire still searches, Jae-Sung reported during one of their regular council meetings, but they're looking in the wrong places. They can't imagine how far we've spread. Dahai nodded, looking out over her thriving colony. The original prefab buildings had been replaced by permanent structures. Gardens bloomed with a mix of earth plants and native species. Children played in parks under the purple sky. The quantum network hummed with constant activity as the colony shared knowledge and culture. Artists created new works inspired by alien landscapes. Scientists developed technologies that combined human innovation with discoveries from their new worlds. Each colony contributed to humanity's growth in exile. Some colonies established trading relationships with local alien species, being careful to hide their connection to Earth. Others remained completely hidden, developing in isolation. All of them remembered where they came from and why they had fled. 20 years after the Great Escape, humanity had changed. They were no longer just Earth's children. They were citizens of the galaxy, adapted to a dozen different worlds. But they never forgot their ancestral home. New colony ships are ready, Sum announced one day. The colonies had grown strong enough to build their own vessels, spreading humanity even further among the stars. We're expanding faster than the Empire can search. Dahai stood with her daughter, born on this alien world, watching their second generation of colonists prepare to leave. Tell me again about Earth, the girl asked, as she often did. Earth was our first home, Dahai began, telling the story that had become legend. When the Empire came to take our freedom, we chose not to fight, not to submit, but to flee. We scattered like seeds in the wind, taking root on new worlds. In hidden shipyards throughout the colonies, engineers worked on new technologies, preparing for the day when humanity might return to Earth, not to fight the Empire, but to show them that freedom could never be contained. The legend of Earth spread through the galaxy. Other species whispered about the humans who had escaped the Empire's grasp, who had built a civilization in secret. Some said Earth was now empty, a monument to the price of imperial arrogance. Others claimed humans would one day return, transformed by their time among the stars. But the truth was more powerful than any legend. Humanity had not just survived. They had thrived. Each colony became a new chapter in their story. Each alien sunset a reminder of how far they had come. And somewhere in the vast darkness between the stars, the quantum network carried messages of hope between humanity's scattered children, waiting for the day when they would all go home.